Hello there. Welcome back to Around the Grid and Aston Martin. Today, we're going to be finishing off this season. We're currently halfway through with a fairly healthy lead here over Ferrari and McLaren. And we are actually developing next year's car to some degree here so that, well, they'll be competitive and a bit of a danger to us. Currently, the car is pretty well developed, as you can already see. Most of these researches do end up about 80% of the way. The underfloor actually does need a little bit of extra work here, particularly on the low speed cornering part, so let's go ahead and get that sorted. Don't really want to lose any low speed cornering gains, which is what is getting nerfed this season by 30%. So we'll get that research up and going. But yeah, we're going to try and get the car into a state where it's going to be competitive next year, and where hopefully Valdez here can continue to grow. He's lacking a bit of braking, lacking a bit of accuracy, but honestly, he's already a fairly good driver at 22, so it would be fun to give him probably a championship by the end of this series. Now, we're going to just jump directly into the Belgian Grand Prix. It is on us. We do have a problem with the gearbox, so we're going to go ahead and install a fresh one. It's a shame. We did have a little bit of a bad result. So yeah, let's go to Belgium. Let's speed through the second half of the season and get Aston Martin that title. Our first sprint today in Belgium offered us a win for Piastri and a terrible result for Valdez. As such, we are going to get him some new components. We still have a fresh engine, so the only thing we really can get him here is a new ERS. Unfortunately, the race itself went pretty bad. A slow pit stop put Piastri behind the McLarens, and we were unfortunately unable to close the gap by the end, and Valdez did not really have a great showing either, ending up 13th. Stanwood kind of starts off with a bang here. We have a wet race, and it's been wet from basically lap 20. It was kind of hard to judge if there was going to be enough water that we needed to go into, but it was. But even then, we kind of were running with the McLarens. Now, unfortunately, as you can see, Valdez has just pitted, and he has also just eaten the wall, which is a little bit unfortunate for him, as, well, he has destroyed his gearbox and damaged some of his other components that were fresh last race. So that is, of course, a bit of an issue. Now, he has also done a little bit of a helping thing here, because he has caused a virtual safety car. But honestly, it would have been better for him to just stay on the track and, secure fourth, because he would have done so easily, honestly. Fourth is the least that he would have been getting here. But it has actually given us an interesting opportunity here for Piastri to potentially pit and come out ahead of Albon, who is the only McLaren so far to have pitted. And if we take a quick look at the reports here, you save an extra 4 seconds or so pitting under VSC. We have 16.3, 17 seconds now to Albon. Of course, there is one big concern here, and that is the fact that we have incredibly slow pit stops. So even if the gap here says 18 seconds, it does not necessarily mean that Piastri is going to be able to get his pit stop done and come out ahead. He might not even come out ahead of Tsunoda. We have 3.5 second pit stop on the regular. We do have a clean stop-ish, 3.7 seconds. We do make it out ahead of Tsunoda, but can we make it through the corner ahead of Albon? And we actually do, so we have to capitalize here. Valdez died for this, crashed for this, if you will. So we definitely do have to take advantage of the current situation and, well, at least take a victory here. I think we owe him that much. So let's see if we can hold on till the end. Piastri had no problems holding off the McLarens here, as he is coasting in for the win, with Albon taking second and fastest lap, and Tsunoda coming here in third. Now, because of the results that McLaren had last time out in Belgium as well, they've actually gained a huge amount of points on us. We can take a quick look. We do have a 200 point, safe zone, if you will, before we started this, or actually 185 points. But that one has decreased significantly, and we can take a quick look at just how significantly that has increased with this race. Valdez has been demoted down to 4th, unfortunately, as a result as well. But in the Constructors here now, we have just a little bit over 150 points. They gain another 9 points here. They gained about 25-ish in Belgium. So if this keeps up, they could potentially catch us by the end. But as long as Piastri keeps on winning races, I think we'll be pretty safe in our position till the end of the season. We still have 9 race weekends remaining, so if they keep this up, 10 points gained each race weekend, 90 points, but still safe. There is, of course, sprints in there, but it is what it is. And unfortunately, as you can see, Valdez did not have a good race. His first pit stop ended with a pit stop mistake that actually screwed him over significantly, as he probably would have been out ahead of Albon. And that second pit stop just sent him into the shadow realm. So it is a bit disappointing what happened here, but honestly, we're just going to have to come back. But I do want to take a quick look at the Valdez car, and we might have to do a little bit less research this season just because the cars need new components. And in particular now, he only has 1 gearbox remaining. This is the fresh ERS, and of course there we also have just that 1 fresh engine. So with 9 races remaining, I can say for sure that Valdez is going to need another set of parts by the end of this. So it's going to be interesting to see how we go with pulling that one off. But it is what it is financially. We're just going to have to eat it. And of course also there is some cost related to manufacturing new components. It's not really a big deal. We just replace these and the problem is solved. But it is still a financial concern. And it is going to weaken Aston Martin a little bit next year. But it's not going to stop us from doing the research as much as we can here. Front wing still needs a lot of work, let's be honest. The underfloor with CFD also still needs a lot of work because we're just so high up in the percentages here that we're probably just going to be working on these 4 pieces more or less exclusively. We've almost caught up here on the suspension, but as you can imagine, we still need to put a lot more work into both the front wing, the rear wing, and honestly a little bit into the underfloor as well. But I still think we'll be able to beat the regulation change, but Aston Martin might be very dangerous next year. We'll see how it goes. In Monza, we had a terrible quali with Valdez qualifying down in 13th, and for the race itself, there were several incidents influencing the race a bit, including a moment from Albon. Several incidents then follow in the same corner, and we end the race in 1st and 4th, as the McLarens are unable to chase down Piastri at the end. In Singapore, we were offered rain, and right before I arrived, we had a safety car. We opt to stay out, but a lot of the other cars opt to pit for new tyres, and we get an advantage over McLaren, with only Ferrari's Norris ahead of us. Shortly after that, there is actually a second safety car as Tsunoda crashes, and we take opportunity to go for into tyres with a double stack. Valdez unfortunately loses out heavily since he has to wait for passing cars. It is just unfortunate. Under the safety car, however, Norris pulls off a spin and continues going, and with a late stop by Albon, McLaren is basically out of this race as he waits fairly long before he goes to the pits. And while this race was eventful with crashes and safety cars, the events didn't really impact us too much, and we managed to do a simple 1-2, with Albon pulling off a surprising 6th place recovery. In Suzuka, Schumacher causes an early virtual safety car as he crashes, and as such we take the opportunity to pit and save about 6 seconds. However, Piastri has a pit stop issue removing any potential gain. A safety car then ruins our race, but as the McLarens are the cause of the safety car, it doesn't really have any effect on the championship. As we get close to the end, Maloney causes yet another virtual safety car, and with just 2 laps remaining, it seals the deal for the rest of the race. We end up 3rd and 6th, with Albon being the best McLaren down in 9th. In the Drivers' Championship, at this point, it is a 1-2 for us, and in the Constructors, the lead is now over 200 points, and with 6 races to go, we do feel pretty safe that McLaren is not going to catch us by the end of this. In Qatar, we end up getting basically a new car for Piastri as we take the engine, ERS and gearbox to hopefully finish the season with these parts. The sprint itself was uneventful with us finishing 1st and 4th, squeezing the McLaren in between both cars, and due to the penalties, Piastri will be starting the race itself from 19th, and as such I wanted to try something a little bit silly, a 1-stop in Qatar. Now Piastri's 1-stopper actually went fairly well, and by the time he is about to pit, or do his pit stop, he's running in 1st, as the rest of the grid has already pitted, and Valdez is doing a good job keeping up with the leaders. After the second sequence of pit stop, Piastri is now in the lead, but with far more worn tyres and Albon hunting him down, it's not really looking good. In the end, the McLaren finished first and third, and we finished just behind in fourth and fifth. Not a terrible result for basically bringing in a new car. Unfortunately, we couldn't do better with Valdez. In Austin, Valdez starts the sprint with a slight incident with Porsche after he got knocked out in Q2, and honestly, if we don't improve here, we're probably going to be taking penalties for him here for new parts. A few laps later, Porsche is involved in yet another incident, but apart from this, the sprint is rather quiet. Piastri ends up winning, and while Valdez improves to 8th, we're probably still going to be taking penalties here, and that is exactly what we do. We take a new set of parts for the last 5 races of the season, leaving us vulnerable in terms of the cost cap, which we'll take a look at soon. Unfortunately though, Valdez has a bad race due to both pit stops being a tad slow, and in yet another race, the McLaren is involved in incidents, and this time it is between Norris and Tsunoda. In the end, Piastri wins the race itself with a healthy 20 seconds gap to second, and Valdez, after having trouble not only with pit stops and running wide, ends up in 7th. In the standings, Valdez is still in the fight for second, a little over 20 points behind Albon, and with 4 races remaining and a 200-point lead, we basically have sealed the constructors at this point. In terms of the cost cap after what happened last time around, as Valdez reaches 85 overall, we do have a bit of a concern there, as our finances are not looking good. We are projected to have 1.1 million remaining, and with cars needing new parts, that's going to be probably a little bit hard to carry out. We're probably going to end up failing the cost cap here. And what I think we're going to do is allow these researches to finish. We're currently using safety time on the front wing, and basically just allow one more research to happen, which is going to be the last CFD research, because honestly, that is all we can afford at this point. The cost cap is going to be broken slightly, but it's just a result of the crashes and the fact that we basically had to, get new components to reasonably make it till the end. We should probably have been a little bit more careful with, say, engines and just kind of sat out the last couple of races because we have already won, but where's the fun in that? Now, as mentioned, cost cap is a little bit concerning. We are definitely going to breach it, but it shouldn't be a big breach, and honestly, we'll survive till the end of the season anyway, so we are doing very good for ourselves. We have Mexico, we have Brazil, and we have Las Vegas, as well as Abu Dhabi remaining. Let's see if we can continue this good form that we have shown so far. And Valdez here is coming along nicely now with breaking of 80, 85 overall. This guy could become a real monster down the line if we continue training him. Carlson is also doing well. It's still lacking braking, of course, but he's going to get there in the end. So yeah, that is it. Let us jump to Mexico. Mexico offered a rainy affair, but even so, it was an incredibly uneventful race, and after qualifying 4th and 5th, we ended up taking 1st and 3rd in the race itself. The Brazilian sprint starts out with a turn 1 incident between Tsunoda and Zhou, and we honestly have been helped quite a bit already this season by incidents involving the McLaren team. The result for the sprint was decent. Valdez gets a win while Piastri comes down in 5th, giving us a decent starting point for the race. The race itself was fairly quiet with the exception of the Mercs crashing into each other. Piastri's race got somewhat ruined by a very slow 10-second pit stop before Valdez gets taken out by Leclerc, or rather, Valdez takes Leclerc out. With damage to the rear wing, sidepods and suspension, he basically has no other choice than probably to retire, which is what we end up doing. And to make matters even worse for Leclerc, on his rejoin, he gets hit in the back by the Williams, leading to a virtual safety car. So as you've just seen, the Brazil race has been a little bit more eventful than we expected up to this point, as Piastri has had a bit of a slow pit stop. Valdez has been hit by, well, Leclerc and has suffered some damage. We do have a virtual safety car right now, so at least we do save a little bit of time pitting. But we do have minor damage to 3 parts, and particularly the rear wing is going to be a concern. So we're going to pit here, we're going to see exactly what his pace is like, and if it is terrible, we are just going to go ahead and retire him, because honestly, we don't really have a choice. Did I not order you to pit? pitting this lap is what it says. Okay, it looked for a second then like he was driving past the pit lane. I was very worried for him. But yeah, he got a 10-second penalty there for the crash as well. So Valdez was found to be at fault, which basically means that his race is ruined anyways. So we're gonna be serving the penalty here, and honestly that is gonna put us probably all the way to the back. 7.7 second stop time. He had a pit stop issue. It didn't actually serve his penalty.
The Aston Martin team standing by.
Yeah, our picker has been kind of horrible lately.
Ah, but the car isn't released properly.
That was not only the car wasn't released properly, that was basically the tires being teleported onto the car. But yeah, we're going to be serving probably the penalty here after we do this stint. And honestly, right now, it's not looking too terrible. Look, Maloney's up in second, but he needs to pit. Every car in front of us has pitted. We're 12 seconds off the lead with Piastri. And honestly, most races this video, if you will, hasn't been too terrible. Most of them have had some events. There's been a lot of crashes in some of them. But honestly, they haven't really been, you know, super terrible. Now, with Valdez here, I kind of want to see, as I mentioned here, what his lap times are. If they are competitive, comparable to Piastri, we can keep him going. 118, let's be honest, this is the lap that counts. The last one wasn't really representative at all because virtual safety car ended. So let's see what the guys are doing on this one. I think, honestly, we might end up retiring Valdez here. I just don't have any choice. He's running 1:11.6. That's a good 2 seconds slower than Piastri, although, to be fair, he has been overtaken. But even then, he shouldn't be that slow. So what we're going to do here is that we are going to pit him onto a soft tire. We are going to serve the time penalty, which I believe we should be able to serve this time. We'll see. If we can't, we'll just have to probably retire him anyways. And yeah, this time we are serving our penalty, 10 seconds. And we want to see here exactly what kind of lap time he would be doing now. Because that was a pretty bad crash. It's kind of unfortunate that we ruined Leclerc's race like that. But there's no way around it. We're going to go... Let's just keep it standard. And I want to see if these lap times are even close to 110. 110.4 is not good. Particularly when you consider Piastri running standard is doing way better times. 11.1. Yeah, we are going to go ahead here and retire Valdez. There's just no... Of course, if we get a safety car, we might still be able to snatch some points. But I'd rather save engine, save car parts than, you know, have him trundle out there with damage to particularly the rear wing there. So, yeah, let's go ahead, get him in here. I want to see here what the effects are. Yeah, this is going to be really bad for us because cost cap. We might be missing out on our research as a result. But it is what it is, we'll deal with it. And we're going to go ahead and get Valdez in here. For Piastri, the goal here is of course going to be to win. We do have a soft stint that we're going to be finishing with. So let's see if we can push up here and catch up to Sainz. The Brazilian drama continues. We have a safety car. What exactly happened this time around? It's Albon! Okay, so an initial light touch, the Alpine gets sent to the Shadow Realm. So Albon didn't really get too much, get hampered too much there, honestly. But he is now right in front of us. And Tsunoda's was recovered after his earlier incident for sure. We are going to have to pit it, and of course, because we are pretty bad when it comes to, well, dealing with any sort of the pit stops, we're probably going to lose a position here to Stroll at the very least, and if we have an error, we might even lose a position to Verstappen. So, even if we do lose a position, it shouldn't be a big deal. Everyone here is going to be pitting. Ocon actually is in a rather good position here, having just pitted. Well, he's not really. He would have saved a lot more if he waited for the safety car. But he should be able to get some of the places back here. For Piastri here, we are still running 5th. Ocon did not actually manage to overtake us. We actually came out ahead of Stroll 2 with a 4-second stop. So that is actually insanity. But yeah, the soft tires here, maybe not the best choice. but we're going to try and make it work. So let's see if we can have the soft tires stay last till the end. And if they do, we should have a bit of a tire advantage. After the restart, things are looking actually very, very good right now for our soft run, as we are keeping up with the cars ahead even while running on full conserve, as temperature is not a real issue. And we are actually going up to second place at the moment. So potentially here, we could still catch a win, honestly. And currently, the teams around us are using more tire than we are. But let's be honest, even if we somehow turn these softs into a hard tire, we are probably going to be suffering a little bit towards the end of the race. So we still have a lot of work to do here. But honestly, recharging the battery, making sure that we have just that little slight amount of time that we can push with towards the end, should be enough here that Piastri potentially could fight for a little more than just a podium. We have yet another incident here. Who has crashed this time? It is Verstappen. Slightly touches Williams there. Could be a bit of a penalty coming his way, but luckily this time, nothing too severe. Doesn't really have any real effect here, as we do overtake Norris for second place, and we're now actually firmly settled in. There's 10 laps to go here. Everything is actually looking very, very promising. As mentioned, tire advantage is still there somewhat, but Norris is taking care of his tires a little bit. But let's be fair, this is probably not him taking care of his tires. It's probably just him having max smoothness at this point. So let's see what we can do, as there's yet another crash. And we overtake for first. 1 year show. That's a unfortunate double hit. Did he rejoin safely, or does he suffer the same fate as Leclerc did on that corner? Because I'm pretty sure that's the same corner that Leclerc got absolutely clobbered from when he had that incident with Valdez. Looks like he's safe, but yeah. Let's see if we can hold on for a few more laps here. Now, we actually have a problem that I would consider to be very hilarious, and that problem is the fact that if we run behind other cars, we start getting cold tires, and that is, of course, bad for a couple of reasons. But the fact that we need to run behind the car leading in order to keep the tires really within the temperature window, that is kind of peak comedy, if you will. Now, we actually have one more lap now, so we're going to go ahead here and put Piastri on aggressive overtaking. We're going to give him all the energy that we have saved up, which isn't a lot. And we're going to try and get this overtake done into the first corner, as that is probably the easiest place to get an overtake done. And we do. But are we going to be able to hold on with DRS going for the McLaren running side by side? And the answer to that is no. Probably would have been better to temper ourselves a little bit here, but Piastri has not given up. He is giving it everything here to stay ahead and claim this win. We do have a little bit of gearbox damage here though, but it's just minor, so nothing to worry about. And with that, Piastri has actually managed to keep Tsunoda at bay and won this Brazilian GP. Ferrari is in here as well, third and fourth, and then we have Albon, Gasly, Verstappen, Stroll, Prochet, and Russell. So, yeah, a bit of an interesting race weekend here. Now, I'm a little bit curious because, honestly, this DNF from Valdez, because we, again, kind of had to, is probably going to put him out of contention for a podium in the drivers. He is already running fourth, as you can see, but not scoring any points here, with the exception of the sprint win. Definitely is hurting his chances. He's, well, not too far behind Norris. There's still 2 races remaining. But Albon is probably a little bit too far ahead unless we can somehow get him a win. Now in the Constructors, as I mentioned, this is a sell deal. We have already won it with 2 races on the sheet left. So, yeah, things are looking good. And as I mentioned here, the pit stops have been kind of miserable lately. We've had a lot of errors, even though the pit crew is rested. It's just a result of us hitting that low 10% chance a couple more times than I would like. Let's just put it like that. It's also, of course, a result of us switching to a different setup with the parts. Basically, we are switching powertrain components between practice and quali to get a little bit more performance out of the car, and that does hurt your pit crew quite significantly in terms of their fatigue, and that's also one of the reasons why we're having more pit stop errors, because they're getting more fatigue over the course of a race weekend, and sometimes going into even weary if we're unlucky. So, as you can imagine, that is a bit of an issue. Now, the rear wing here, we only have 2 left. The side pods, we have 3 left. Suspension, we have just 2 left. And in terms of the car here, there's a high risk for the side pods and the underfloor. There's a medium risk for everything else. Suspension is probably a little bit more risky than anything else. But with, as I said, the financials that we currently have, if we take a quick look at the cost cap, we have 880,000 estimated to remain at the end of the year. So to make sure that we get the final research in here with CFD time to actually get a little bit competitive, we're gonna have to you know, run a little bit on spare parts here. Might actually run Abu Dhabi with an older spec, but that isn't actually a concern because, let's face it, we've already won both championships, so we have obtained our goal. We have completed our goal here, so that is not a concern. I just wanted to make sure here that I'm going to use CFD time on the correct thing. Suspension didn't really reach the, you know, the hopes here. The underfloor, thereabouts, still a little bit behind, I'll be honest. Rear wing is the most behind, as you can see. And the front wing actually did beat what we're losing. So, honestly, the AI would not really do anything close to this with this regulation change. So I'm kind of wondering just how far behind we're going to be behind Aston Martin next year. And we are going to go ahead here, of course, and do that final research project. We're going to have to wait for the rear wing research here to finish. And then we'll just do another one. So yeah, that's the plan. Staff here too, we're going to be renewing contracts with all 3 of these, but I'll do it at the end of the season just to speed it up. It's not really anything important. It's just something we'll do really, really quick. So yeah, cost cap, we're already getting warnings. Those are going to get spammed now for 2 months. I am going to be so happy about that. And driver development updates. Adaptability, accuracy, smoothness, and adaptability. Honestly, they've been growing nicely, everyone. And Carlson is unfortunately not getting what we want him to get. We put him on the short runs here to try and get braking up, but instead we're maximizing accuracy, which to be fair is better than adaptability. But still, I would love to get a little bit more braking from him. But that is how it is. As you can see, we're actually at the exhausted part right now with fatigue, which is a bit surprising because I didn't actually put in any work for the pit crew last month, but it kind of does show you that you have a choice with the pit crew. Either develop your pit crew by using older spec, not switching between sessions, or older spec, basically use the same parts even though they're a little bit damaged, and not switching between sessions, or, you know, suffer the curse of an exhausted pit crew that can't really train and will have an incredible amount of fatigue. As you can see, even if we do nothing now going into Las Vegas, they'll still be slightly, you know, worn or weary. So we're just going to give them some rest time, and I'll sort out the pit crew training schedule after Abu Dhabi. But yeah, let us get that final research project on the table, see what we can expect. And we are going to get a bunch of messages here telling us that we're lacking a little bit of everything, really. We're lacking money, lacking cost cap, we're lacking parts. You know the deal. But yeah, rear wing here, we are going to put in CFD time to basically just focus on cornering. That's kind of the goal here. And the low speed cornering is already fairly low here. 445 translates to basically, would this be 72.5%? So not really, they still have a lot to go on here, actually, this rear wing, in terms of performance gain. So we're going to do it like this. It's going to give them a little bit more cornering next year. Still going to get a decent chunk of DRS effectiveness. So I think this is fine. And this will be our final project for the year. Now, with that said, we kind of have everything sorted. Let's go to Las Vegas, and hopefully we don't crash there. We're just going to have a relaxing last 2 races, and then we'll be ready for our next team, which looks to be the Alpines at this point. Mercedes is also not doing well, but Alpine, I'm pretty sure I'm going to play them, although I've been playing a lot of Alpine lately. We are probably going to be revisiting them next time around. We're not going to be revisiting teams that we have already beat. There was a question on that earlier. Haas, we've already done. but for some reason they elected to, you know, pick up their drivers. And, well, not much I can do about that. Crawford and Maloney. So, yep. It is what it is. For now, though, we're going to Las Vegas, then we're going to Abu Dhabi. Let's see if the end of the season is a calm and relaxing one. We are currently on the final lap of a incredibly boring Las Vegas GP, as basically it's been these 6 cars that you can see: Tsunoda, Albon, Norris, Verstappen, and ourselves running a DRS train for basically the entire thing. So, not really a lot of things happening. Both of our cars are on aggressive overtakes right now, and while Valdez gotten up in a podium position, he's probably going to have a little bit of a harder time getting anything higher than that, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. Piastri might actually get another car here and get up into 4th, which would be neat, but with the final straight now onto the finish line looming, I don't think we're getting anything done. Piastri does get the Ferrari though, which is nice to see, and 3rd and 4th, while not the result we really were hoping for, it is a very acceptable result around here, so we'll take that, particularly when we ended up, as mentioned, with a 6-man DRS train for virtually the entire race. So remember when I said before last race that hopefully the parts don't break? Well, with the exception of the rear wing, everything else did break on Piastri's car. So we're going to have to use an older spec here. Honestly, it's just the last race. Things are already set in stone here for him, so doesn't really change anything. Valdez is still hunting 3rd place in the standings, but unless we win and Albon DNFs, no, not even that is enough. We can't catch Albon anymore. He's not within grasp. He's 29 points ahead, which is a little bit more than 26 that we can theoretically get us the maximum here. So we're only fighting Norris for 3rd place in the standings this race. Let's see what we can do in Abu Dhabi. We've had an incident at Abu Dhabi that has spiced things up somewhat with a crash here from Sainz. You can see both of our cars in the picture as well. And honestly, we're kind of lucky that we didn't get taken out. So Sainz has crashed. We have Albon leading. We are pretty far back, let's be honest. We've been stuck kind of in DRS trains. And honestly, what we do here is going to be to pit both cars, get them on a soft compound till the end. And while Valdez is most likely going to have to wait a little bit for Piastri, as they are running fairly close to each other here, it is just for the best here that we get both cars in under this virtual safety car. And hopefully get something done here towards the end. That's going to be the goal. Unfortunately, we just went full attack, so we have kind of lost a little bit of time. We're going to attack a couple laps earlier. We would have probably been a lot closer to the cars in front, who are all pitting as well. And let's see now. Piastri has a clean stop, although a bit lengthy. Same here for Valdez. And Russell actually does not beat us out, so we actually keep our positions as well under this virtual safety car. We have lost actually a little bit of time to the cars ahead, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal. We're still going to try and hunt them down before the end of this. And knowing AI and how bad they're at managing tires, I'm worried for Albon and Tsunoda. They might actually head below 30% and might actually end up being very, very slow at parts. So looking forward to seeing how this turns out. In terms of the restart here, we did actually gain a little bit for Valdez on Albon. Yeah, let's see what we can do. We have Norris, we have a show ahead of Piastri. Hopefully we can clear them with ease. If not, we're probably gonna have no chance there at fighting for a win. So as we get started on the final lap here, unfortunately the new tires did not do it for us. We're still pretty far down the order here. Piastri has gained slightly on Albon, but honestly we've mainly just been losing out here. And that's just how it be sometimes. We are running, of course, also a slightly older spec on Piastri's car, but it shouldn't have too much of an effect. But even then, let's be honest, it's the final race of the season. Things are kind of settled. Shame for Valdez here that we couldn't get Norris, but it is what it is. Albon gets the win. Show gets points for Mercedes. Remember, these guys are 8th in the Constructors. That is actually pretty good for them. Then we have Norris coming in 3rd. which is also, incidentally, where he's going to be finishing in the Drivers' Championship. So, honestly, I think we can be happy with this season. We've had some races that have been pretty terrible, including kind of this one. But we have completed the goal. Let's just put it like that. So Drivers' Championship then. Valdez gets unfortunately knocked down to 5th behind Tsunoda due to the result here, which is just, how it be sometimes. Remember, this guy doesn't have the full 23 races because we also have Palou in here. So if he had the 30 points from Palou, for instance, that we just transferred them over, he'd be healthily up in 3rd. And honestly, probably would be closer to finding Albon. But still, a good showing from Valdez here. In the Constructors, we do win, and if we take a look here at the bottom, Alpine scores an extra point, but they are still going to be the team we visit next time around. The points for Mercedes brings them above Williams, and I do actually really like to see that the bottom 5 here, if you will, with the exception of Haas, actually has a sizable number of points, because you usually don't see this, particularly on the first season, but the cars are definitely getting closer to each other, and they're becoming more competitive, but I don't think it's really having much of an effect, because everyone is going to end up running basically the same car in the end, and who wins the season, so to speak, is going to go down to which AI lowers their durability the most. So it's kind of a weird one, let's be perfectly honest. Now the season is over. I have renewed the staff contracts here. They basically all got a couple 100,000 in yearly wage increases, which is not a big problem. And we do have that final research going for the Red Wing, which will be done in 28 days. And honestly, I think I'm just going to leave the AI here with 44 million in the bank. We could refurbish the suspension sim. We could even upgrade it. Honestly, we probably should upgrade it because that is the better choice here, rather than spending 5 million on just refurbishing it. So yeah, I think we'll do that as a final gift to the next one who takes over this team. We'll leave these as they are. I probably should have refurbished the team hub way earlier. Same for the race sim. Honestly, I should have upgraded these way earlier. I didn't realize they were level 4. And yeah, most of the facilities do need a little bit of, a refurbish, but we'll leave the money in the account as is, so they can hopefully be a little bit competitive at the start of next season and not completely implode like Haas did. So yeah, we're gonna speed along here now till the end of the season, and then we'll be saying goodbye to Aston Martin, hello to Alpine. Stella offers us his congratulations. Let's see if we can repeat that luck next time. I will, hopefully, with a different team. We'll see. But yeah, time to speed to the end of season accolades / rewards. Here we are, the DHL fastest pit stop 2028. We ended up 8th, which honestly is better than we deserve. with 3.5 second pit stop being the norm, and close to 4 second pit stops towards the end. So yeah, I think we'll be happy with not being lost. So 5th and 1st, as well as 1st, we completed all the objectives. Team rating goes up to 4 stars, and yeah, score podiums in 25% of the season's races. We only missed out 3 races. I think we can be happy with that. And well, I keep my team principal rating apparently, but yeah, that is honestly all that we were focused on. So next year we get that beautiful regulation that gives us an extra gearbox, ERS, and engine. That's going to help both me and the AI to avoid penalties. The minor technical here that is low speed for cornering. It's going to be interesting to see just how well the others have researched it, and also see some price share where we get less money. It's going to nerf us a little bit, but it's not really a big deal. In terms of research here, we have basically just done the things that have been hit. Suspension is going to have a slight decrease, but is honestly a good job done. Same really goes to the underfloor, but again, we are basically caught up, so I'm not too worried. We're high up anyways. This isn't really accurate as, let's be honest, it doesn't take into the last CFD time. We can take a quick look at that research in a second, but we're basically missing about 11 here, and then 19. So we can see if we actually got those, and for the front wing, we did beat the regulation change. As I said, we can go back to the rear wing research and see what we actually got. We went from 45 to 65, that's plus 20. We needed 19, so 1 above. For medium, we needed 11. We earned from 54 to 66. That's plus 12. So we did definitely beat it for the Red Wing as well. It's going to be fairly good for Aston Martin next year. But yeah, that is the end of today's video. Sorry that it's late in the evening, but I was planning to edit this after the race today, but then I turned my power nap into a longer nap, and here we are. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, as that helps me out a ton. And I'll see you around next time. I'll have a video, just quickly, I'll have a video sometime next weekend where I go through what we can expect from the next year's game, 24. And so far, it looks to be a pretty decent upgrade compared to 23. So yeah, again, thank you very much. See you next time. Bye-bye.